Winterland, tell me all your secrets. Fill me in on your wildest moments. Colored trees, your yellow leaves move me. Dancing roofs, your painted red shakes the room. When I get there, I'll let my feet roll. When I get there, I'll break in your arms, I'll lose control. When I get there, I'll know the answer. Let me know when I get closer.
Hey everybody, happy Monday. This is Overpass Live. My name's Eric and I make apps. This is the weekly live stream where we just hang out and talk about whatever we want to talk about new in the app world and in apps and running your own business and that kind of stuff. Just, we just hang. We do the normal videos sometimes during the weeks and we just do the live streams on Mondays. And I didn't do one last week. I had like loads of stuff going on, so I had to skip last week. So this week we're back on at the normal time. And it's been a busy couple weeks. It's been a busy couple weeks just in terms of, kids coming home from university and stuff like that. But also lots of big news in England with like things starting to open up and all that kind of stuff. Things starting to open up in a couple weeks, which is going to be great. England's going ahead in the Euros, which is something I never thought I'd be interested in. But now I'm kind of like starting to watch some of those games and everything. And it's been really cool. And on the tech side, I don't know if you guys have seen this. If you guys have seen GitHub Co-pilot, which is I signed up for the waiting list, but something that I'd like to talk about today because it's pretty cool. And my app revenue is kind of slipping because I need to update my iOS apps because I still don't have the 14.5 admob fixes in there yet. So there's loads of stuff we could talk about today, but just wanted to say happy Monday. And I'm glad you guys are here. So far we have Theo. We only have Theo. Theo's the only person in the house at the moment. Hey, how's it going, Theo? Really glad you could join. And Kevin Hawthorne is here. Thanks, Kevin. Kevin, thanks for all the emails you've been sending me too, by the way. So today, I think we'll start off today by, I don't usually go through my daily revenue reports, but there's not too much to talk about at the moment, except for the GitHub Copilot, which I don't know if you guys have seen that. It's like, some people were talking about how it's kind of scary as a developer to see it, but I'm kind of not quite sure. Like I don't know if you guys have seen it. Let's have a look at my screen over here. So I was like playing around with this today. Actually, I wasn't playing around with it. I was trying to get it to work on VS Code, which is the kind of thing which is going to make me want to go to VS Code rather than use the JetBrains tools, which I'm using all the time now. So right now, I'm pretty much like a JetBrains user. Like I've got all the JetBrains tools over here. I've got like Android Studio, App Code for iOS development, although I rarely use App Code. DataGrip for database connection. Can hardly ever use it, but I spend most of my life in IntelliJ, Rider, and WebStorm. One of the things I like about the JetBrains tools is not so much what they do, although they're pretty good. It's mainly just having that consistent keyboard shortcuts across all of them. But now with this kind of stuff coming in, I'm starting to think, well, maybe I will move over to VS Code so I could use this. So basically what it is the AI programming thing where it's like auto-filling in the code everything for you. So Fireship.io has a really good video on this, which I watched. Which I was watching yesterday, and I was trying to like see how it works. But you could like type in a comment, see if like you can see. You type in a comment, and it will just go onto public source code like GitHub and Stack Overflow, and it will find code samples and it will autofill it for you. So if you create a function, you basically just put in determine a sentiment of text and positive. Use a web service. You type in the first bit, and it autofills the rest of it. Which to me, it seems like it's almost impossible to do, but it's here you go. It's like average run times per second, and it just fills in those functions for you. Now, at the moment, it seems to only be supporting, well, I'll say only Ruby, TypeScript, JavaScript, and Python. So I was trying to get it to work with Dart. I was trying to see if it worked with Dart and everything like that, but didn't see anything there. But Dart's a newer language and everything too. So, and it's one of these things where when I see it, it's like, is this the kind of thing that will replace me as a developer, or would it just make me more? Would it just make me more like useful as a developer. So this is one of the things that I was looking at in the comments of some of the other videos, people talking about it's scary, that could put us all out of work. But really it wouldn't. Like a lot of the stuff that does, like a lot of what we do as developers is we have to know what exists and how to architect something. Like this is why we give junior developers the kind of the code monkey jobs. Like you say, okay, I need to have a login form. I'll do all the authentication code or whatever, but I'm tired of doing the HTML side of it. So that's where you give it to a junior developer to work on. You just get somebody just to do that kind of stuff. And that kind of stuff, I think what it does is it's going to make it difficult for people who are having trouble like just getting into the job market, because they have to start at a certain level and they're going to have to be a bit more highly skilled. In fact, today I had a comment from somebody talking about on one of my videos about the app market being oversaturated, or the software market being oversaturated. And he was saying, this is really depressing. I'm never going to make it in this business because of the oversaturation. And it's like one of those things where, it just means we all have to be better. Tools like this mean we all have to be better in terms of the oversaturation too. So Mab A is here. Hey, Mab A, how's it going? Theo said JetBrains is the best brains. Yeah, I think it's because I use it for, Android Studio is based on it. So like first of all, back in my C# days, I would use Visual Studio and I would use ReSharper, right? Finally, when I moved to ReSharper, I kind of knew the shortcuts. I knew what existed. Of course, like when I moved to a Mac, then everything was like, swapped around in terms of command and control. So that kind of caused a little bit of problems, but I still like the way that works. And back in the early Android days, when a lot of the Android stuff was done in Eclipse, that kind of sucked. Like I hated using Eclipse and I hate using Xcode because they're so foreign to the development experience. And now the only problem I have is if I go from Sublime Text, which I still use, I use Sublime Text, I'll use a JetBrains suite, so WebStorm or whatever, and I'll use VS Code, or sometimes I'll use Visual Studio for Mac. And like the keyboard shortcuts are different, and it kind of throws me. To me, it's like Command D should be to duplicate the line that you're on, or to be able to Command click onto something and be able to go straight to that, to the instantiation of that variable. And then you got these other IDs that do something slightly different, and it just messes with you a bit. Like you know your tool really well, and then you move on to something else, and just that slight change is different. I kind of wish they would standardize on that. I wish like all the IDs would standardize on the keyboard shortcuts. And I know some of them do have, like I know if you go into JetBrains and go into the preferences, you can select like I want to have the Visual Studio mappings or whatever, but a lot of the tools don't. So that's kind of that's something I don't quite like. Get Us TM says, hey, how are y'all doing? I'm doing really good. It's getting warm in here though. But yeah, I'm doing really well. Things are going. In terms of the business, I had somebody ask me today how the business is going, and it's going okay. But I'm sort of like not taking on a whole lot of projects at the moment. So I'm looking at certain things, giving quotes for stuff. But like a lot of the stuff that's coming in, we're trying just still trying to take things a little bit easy at the moment, and scale up slowly. Now that things are, there's definitely a rise in demand. So we're getting more quotes coming through. But I'm still kind of like, I kind of like this, kind of just working on a few things here and there rather than trying to take on so much, and it gets away from me where I get further away from the code and more into the management, which is, I know if I want to grow the company, I'd get more into the management, but it's one of these things. So let's see. Theo says, Android Studio got me hooked on JetBrains too. Moving from Eclipse to that was heaven. I know Eclipse was like, well, every time I use Xcode, and you have to use Xcode, even like you're using Flutter, like sometimes you just do have to go into Xcode to set the settings and everything. Or, Xcode is surprisingly versatile in terms of like the memory management and being able to look at the network traffic. Like there's so many things, but it's like everything just seems like it's like buried somewhere. Like everything seems to be like it's just like in a place that doesn't quite make sense to me. You got build settings and the you got all that bit in the pack, in the info.p list. Everything in info.p list is a drop down in the IDE, but like the documentation talks about the drop down values in terms of the XML. So you're thinking, but in the IDE, I can't see an easy way to get to the XML, so I could just deal with that, right? So it's weird when you have, like, if you have a select box and the select box says one thing is a value, like the value is one thing, the key that you need, and then the description is something else, and you're using the description trying to figure out what the value is based on the documentation. They're saying, like, the error would come back saying, you need whatever, the NTSF transport security thing. What's NTSF? NT transport security. You know the one, when you want to be able to allow non-HTTPS traffic, right? That one, for some reason, like the drop down doesn't look the same as the actual value that it tells you in the error message to put in there, which is it's just weird. It's kind of just strange. Thanks for the thumbs up, guys. Say JRG apps. Hey, how's it going? Mohit says hello, how's it going? Rizwan says, hey Kevin, hola amigo, long time no see. Did you just call me Kevin? Today I have questions. Cool. All right, cool. So, let's see. One, doing two jobs. One, to meet ends, doing web. Two, wait, okay. Do what you love, mobile apps for clients. All alone is okay. All right, so one, doing two jobs to meet ends, doing web. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times you have to make ends meet. You have to pay the bills, right? So you have to, like, you have to, get a, it's either going to be a job somewhere, it might not even be in technology. Ideally, you have a job as in software development. So then that way, at least whatever skills you're using 9 to 5, you can transfer those over into your other, after 5 kind of stuff. If it's not like a software job, then you have to spend a lot of late nights learning all this kind of stuff. When I started, I was lucky enough to get a job in software development. Well, actually, I was kind of like a trainee, and like they gave me a bunch of like copy stuff from this Excel to access that kind of stuff. So it wasn't really development. And then like I would get home, and I would remember staying up to like 2 o'clock in the morning just on the computer learning this kind of stuff. And it's not like I was just like doing practices. It was like I was going to try to build something and try to build like a VB5 desktop application. And that's kind of always been the way it was. Like when I was working contracts, it was like my own mobile application was done at night. And I kept trying to bridge them. And this is one of the reasons why I was interested in PhoneGap, which later became Cordova. I mean, PhoneGap's still there, but the open source side was Cordova and Ionic. Was trying to bridge that gap between I'm doing web stuff in the day and I do mobile at night, because I was trying to get the place I was working for to do mobile. And they were just like, no, we don't really want to do apps. Like, what would be the benefit? And I was like, because it would be cool, which is not really a very good reason. Right? So I was like trying to get them to like just to get them to go for it so that like at least I could do that. And never did. Although I did get them to agree to do a Windows Phone app, which was kind of an interesting experience, but we never released it anywhere. But so to say 2 jobs, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Doing what you love, mobile apps for clients. So there's different things you could do. First of all, you'd be working you have to pay the bills. So a lot of people say they're going to quit their job and just go straight into mobile development, which is like, all right, if you can make it work, then whatever. But, you still have to check the market and make sure that you actually make enough revenue, right? So you got that side. So you could either be doing a job that's not, software development, and then it helps you pay the bills, but you're doing your app at night. And that might be able to transition to, hopefully it will transition to like you're just making revenue. But if not, maybe you can transition from whatever job you're doing into a software development field, because you're picking up all this experience. Right, so you're picking up this experience. You can start to do that kind of stuff. Maybe where you're working at the moment, or, but probably be to move on to someplace else where you got a bit of experience, you got a portfolio, you're kind of build this stuff up. The next thing would be, I would say rather than work as an employee, I would say go contracting. To me, contracting was like it was like a difficult leap. I mean, it was like because it was like you're basically working without a net, right? You're like, they can let you go at any time, although you have like an end date on your contract. But you have to be good. You have to be good enough. You have to like demonstrate value every single day. And then the other one would be clients. So you get clients. So that's basically takes everything away and gives everything, like you're just delivering something. You guys can hear me all right. So that way you have like time freedom, kind of, because you still have to get this stuff done, right? And then when you're in that kind of situation doing client work, then you can start looking at, well, maybe I'll subcontract this out to somebody else or get somebody else to work on part of that, which you have to find the right people. And I've had some where I did find the right people and all that went really well. And then I have some where they didn't find the right people, and it's like, okay, so I paid these guys and I ended up doing it myself, and that absolutely sucks. But the goal always is to get to the point where you make your own passive revenue with your own applications. So, and that's what I've been working on this, well, on the weekends and at night. So I'm back to the weekends and night working on my own applications. I'm taking some of my existing applications and moving them from Corona SDK. I'm telling you I'm doing this, even though every time I reach a roadblock, I'm like, I'm putting this aside for a day. I'm trying to move it from Corona SDK or Solar 2D to Flutter with the Flame library. So I'm trying to get that to work with Firebase as a backend. So right now I'm writing a bunch of backend scripts which are taking all my files and all my image assets and audio assets and moving them up into Firebase storage so that I can use those that way. And it's been a bit difficult, but let's see. Biswajit is here. What's up, everyone? What's up, Biswajit? How's it going? Let's see. Leonardo Leo says, what do you think about buying fake reviews? Have you ever tried it? No, but I have been tempted. That was one of the things early on where I've had like I've been tempted. I've been tempted to the fact where I'm like looking at the website. I had a conversation, like thinking, yeah, maybe, because what I started to think was, if everybody's doing fake reviews except for me, what chance do I have, right? But then there's also that, what if it's just, well, first of all, it feels sleazy to do the fake reviews. First of all, fake reviews always seem to be really badly done. Like, they just seem to be like, hey, this app's the best, A-OK, or whatever. And it's just, and I got this, so I've never actually done it. I've never actually done the fake review thing. But I like I said, I've been tempted. Like I totally see it. And I've had friends of mine in app development. I remember having one guy saying, I know it's against the terms and conditions, but I'm running a business here, and this is serious. I'm not just playing around. It's like, none of us are playing around, but it was like kind of this thing. So I've always been like, I don't want to go that route. And luckily I got to the point where I was getting lots of reviews through. I mean, you got to like beg for reviews and get people to review your application and stuff like that. But and I've never heard, the thing is, I've never heard of anybody being kicked off of Google Play for that. Like, that's the one thing I was always afraid of. If I do fake reviews, like, Google will find out and then they'll suspend my account, right? But no, they suspend it for every other reason, but that doesn't seem to be doing it for that. So, and I always wonder this, how many apps out there are actually doing the paid for fake reviews? There's been a few times where we've looked at people's apps here on the live stream where somebody said, hey, can you look at my app? We look at it and it's like, these reviews are all obviously fake. They all happen on the same day or within like 2 or 3 days of each other. They all seem to be like, and then there's nothing else afterwards. They're all kind of, very similar in tone. Like, it's just like, oh yeah, no. And he was like, oh no, yeah, no, I paid for those reviews. So it's like, dude, like, so, and but I use Audible a lot. I've been using Audible for 15 years or something like that. I've got hundreds of audiobooks. And now I get to the point where I go on Audible, and it seems like almost every book I look on Audible has like loads of fake reviews. And it's so obvious. They're all start, like I said, it's all in the same day or 2 or 3 days within, like a 2 or 3 day time span. They're just, so I've never tried it, but I'm not saying that, I would never dream of it, because I was tempted. I was like, I thought about it. I was like, but I didn't. And I guess I feel better that I didn't, but it's like, I don't know. I won't ask you guys if you've done it. Like, that's one of those things. I think it would be, It's like sleeping with a prostitute or something. I don't have to pay for sex. I don't have to pay for my reviews. But like, it wasn't that. It was more like, I was just thinking, God, I was so afraid of being caught rather than that. And not with the prostitutes, with the reviews. Let's see. Theo says, I've been deep into native iOS development recently and been working with Xcode is 90% full joy. It's really nice. Are you using Objective-C or are you using Swift? Let's see. Biswatch says, have you received a mail from Google ads about a UK financial services verification? I have seen that. And I wasn't quite sure what to make of it. It's one of those, sometimes Google will say you things, you're like, is there anything I'm supposed to do with this? Because what I took that to mean, so the reason, I know what a visitor, tell me if I've got this wrong, but I looked at it and thought, oh, I don't have any financial services apps, so I ignored it. But is that what it is? Let's see. JK Multi says, have you checked Windows 11? No, I haven't, but I've heard really good things about it. Apparently, it's like a lot of the big apps are like the App Store is a lot better on Windows 11. Windows 11 is going to support Android apps, isn't it? Which is something that I got a request this morning for somebody saying, hey, can our app work on Windows? And I was like, well, it might work on Windows 11. But it depends on whether or not their customers all use that. So and the reason JK that I haven't is mainly because I'm a Mac user, and for me to check it, like I said, I've gone down that other ecosystem where it's like the same way when with those of you guys out there who are primarily on Windows, when you ask, have you checked out Big Sur or whatever? I never remember the name. I don't get so excited about the Mac OS versions, but it's kind of one of those things where it's like, we're in our different camps. We're the Montagues and the Capulets. We don't mix. But then one day, we'll fall in love with each other. I don't know what I'm talking about. Rizwan says, thank you, Eric. Thoughts on Nest.js versus NS? I don't know what Nest.js. Are you talking about Next.js? I haven't even looked at that. Not aware of that. Bart Rocca, happy Monday, everyone. Happy birthday, Bart. Anyone else seeing a huge drop in iOS admob revenue? Yes, I am. And I think it's because I haven't updated my admob libraries. Unless you have updated yours. I still seen mine. Let me have a look. Let me show you my my revenue report. I mean, I can't tell you basically based on admob, but a lot of times I get people asking about this, and a lot of people have found me through the apps or through the video about my ad revenue. But this year, so last year I've had my big Android app removed, so my revenue has fallen quite a bit. This is January, February, but if we get here to May, my admob starts to fall pretty much here towards the end. My iTunes is kind of okay here. So basically these are so I know I show this a lot and I'm just going to gloss over it. So this is the total GBP per day. Again, this is May, so it's lower now. My AdMob revenue per day. And I wish I could tell you RPMs and all this kind of stuff, but it's not allowed to do that, but that's the revenue per day. Google Wallet. So Google Wallet Google Wallet. We still call it Google Wallet, even though it's the in-app purchase revenue from Google Play apps. It's a lot lower than it has been. And I've got some negative figures here. I don't know why that's coming as a negative 17. I'll have to go through and look at it. And then we've got the iTunes one. We've had some really good iOS days. iOS is still, for those of you guys who are definitely have not gone into iOS. I have fewer apps on iPhone than I do on that's USD, so GBP. So I have fewer apps on the App Store because of the 4.5 thing where I had to remove a lot of them, and that's what I've been working on. I've been working on this container app, which I'm not sure will do very well. But if I go to July here, actually July's only a few days in. By the way, for those of you guys, hope you had a good happy 4th of July yesterday. So there's June, and you can see the AdMob has dropped. And I think this is because my main revenue earner was an iOS application on admob, and I haven't updated those libraries, mainly because I need to update it from Swift 2 to Swift 4.5, and every time I go to do that, I'm thinking, I need to go like find a developer to do that. Oh, and then we also have AppLovin and Facebook, which for the last few years, I haven't been that big into AppLovin and Facebook. But just to be totally transparent, my revenue is dropping, and I need to get off my big fat butt and deal with that. So, but yeah. So yeah, I've seen it drop. But like, have you like updated your libraries and stuff, your admob libraries? Ruben says, hey, Eric, do you have any advice on how to start working as a contractor or freelancing? Well, first of all, like working as a contractor, do you already have some IT experience? Because you could look for contract jobs on different jobs websites. Like the one I always used was JobServe here in the UK. I know there's different ones. There's Indeed, there's Monster. I don't know if those still exist, but like if I would like, you could start by just having a look to see what's available, what people are looking for. Like if you want to work for a company, you could go on Upwork and set up a profile and everything. But what I would do is I would get your CV updated and just start looking for contract jobs, because it's a bit of a leap to go from working full time to contracting, and it was like a scary one for me. I had quit my job, and then I started looking for a contract. Actually, I started looking for a contract, and after a month, I was looking for just anything, because it was like I had no savings at the time. There's been times after being a contract, there's been times where I've taken 18 months off and just started working on my own stuff, and then going back into another contract. Right. So, but like back in those days as a permanent employee, I had no savings, nothing. So, it was a very scary jump to go from being an employee to a contractor initially, but then it became like you get paid a lot more as a contractor, and you could just you're more in control of your own education and your own benefits and all that kind of stuff. And like a lot of the times try to lure you back into permanent employment with the benefits, like you'll get medical, you'll get this, you'll get that, and you're like, yeah, but if I make enough money, then I could do that myself. But again, it does put a lot more, but if you get sick, then you still don't get paid. If you go on vacation, you don't get paid. If you're a lot more in control of that. I mean, you're less in control of that, which is hard to convince sometimes. Like you might have like a relative come to stay or something, and they'll say like, hey, surely you could just take a couple of days off. I say, yes, but those couple of days off will cost me more than it will cost your trip over here. Like, it's kind of a weird thing when you can't miss work until you have some savings. But so let's have a look here. If I were going to do it, if I was going to do it now with my current experience, and this is where Ruben, you told me, like, if you're just starting off completely from scratch and you don't have any development experience, that's one thing. If you do have development experience, I would go through and look at like say this JobServe. JobServe is the one I look at, but JobServe.com. I don't know, login. I don't know why for some reason it's in my search history. Okay, so not Job Seeker, JobServe. Again, this is an old website. But if I was going to do something, like if I would go in here, I would go C#. I would go Abingdon, which is close to me. I'll go within 50 miles because if it pays enough. Sometimes I'll go 75, which includes London. I always go, contract. Also C#. So I used to do C#. So I'll do. Let's do Flutter. See if there's any Flutter contracts. In 75-mile radius, we got one. A Flutter developer in London with 530 pounds. It's inside of IR35, which means you still have to pay the taxes and stuff on that here in the UK. But job responsibilities, blah blah blah. Let's see. Flutter experience 1.0, minimally, ideally 2.0. Building mobile applications experience with APIs, experience with tools such as Jira, mobile technology knowledge, either iOS or Swift, Flutter knowledge. I mean, you're gonna just go through and apply for these. If something like that doesn't work, you could go like we're gonna look at different. Sometimes it's just nice to go see like what's the most in demand. And again, that's because we're looking at contracts. But if we're going to go through and look at permanent employees or whatever, I guess we could look at part-time, seasonal. Yeah, that's not really a seasonal job, but that's like one of the things I would do. Just look to see what's available. What I would do, but yeah, like I've never actually taken on a freelance job or anything through Upwork. It's more like building something else. You want the people who come to you, they should know you. Like Upwork is like basically you're like you're standing in line with everybody else, and they're just thinking they're either going to look for the cheapest person or the most qualified person. And if you're not either of those, then you don't want to be in that list. Let's see. So so using Swift, I see I was using Swift and Swift UI. Oh, cool. Tim L. Hey, how's it going, Tim? Theo says Windows 11 supports Android apps through the Amazon App Store. Oh yeah, that's right. So we're gonna get everything on there. Let's see. Rizwan says Nest.js. See it, you'll love it. As long as it's like this lost son of Angular doing it back end, like long lost son SUN Angular doing back end. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I just see the thing is I don't have a back end problem. Not a euphemism. By the way, I don't have a back-end problem. Don't start spreading any rumors. But like when it comes to like Angular, it's like always Node.js. Like it's like I never thought, yeah, what? I wish I could use something similar to Angular on the back end, like on a server. But I'll have to check that out. Bizwaji says the mail says if you don't reply to it within 30 days, it will give you a warning. After that, Google Ads account will be paused. Oh, I guess I gotta have a look at it. I thought it had to do something with like. I thought it was something similar to when they asked if you have a news app. I thought it was, I don't have a financial services app, but I'll have to have a look at that. Ruben says, Eric, thank you very much for your insights. I have several years of development experience in the video game industry, and after that I published 2 apps, one for a client, which was my old boss. Okay, cool. Definitely go the contract market. I mean, it's like because at least you'll get paid more that way. And you might not get it. I mean, like I said, just apply to everything. When I was making the jump from, it was funny because I made the jump from being an employee to a contractor, and it wasn't an easy jump for me. It was like, there were certain things that I had trouble getting used to as a contractor, like telling, it was just like, doing my timesheets, invoicing, setting up my own limited company. That was all kind of one thing. But then, like, I remember there was this other contract. So I started working at BBC as a contractor, and there was this other contractor there I was working with, and he was kind of a nice guy. He kind of helped me out with some stuff. When I was like, how do I do this? How do I get the timesheet signed off and everything? And he was like, but then they came up to him one day and says, you know what? We're gonna how we said we were gonna renew your contract. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to, so it's going to end it's going to end next week. So, but thank you so much for your work. And he goes, okay, cool. And I was like, and then after the manager walked away, I said, that sucks. They're letting you go. And he goes, Eric, I was expecting that. Like that's what being a contractor is having that that mentality. Like you always got your bag packed. You're always ready to go. You're always like you're there until they don't need you anymore. And it's, it was something, the way I always thought was like, okay, my contract ends on this date. And it's funny how many other contractors I work with who didn't think that way. Like when their contract, when they decided not to renew a contract, they were like hurt emotionally. They're like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like that's kind of the thing. You assume that risk when you do it. I was lucky that I've never had a contract ever like just run out. Like I never had them say they're not going to renew it. It was always like a thing where I'd say, okay, I'm going to move on to do other things, and help them hand over everything as much as possible. So I was kind of lucky in that situation. But yeah, it's kind of like it's definitely worth looking into, especially if you live in near a big city and everything, and you have like a portfolio that you can share your experience with. It was and to me it helped. I think there was like I said, there was like a month or so where I had no work. I kept doing CVs and I wasn't getting any job prospects, no interviews. And I was just like, I was desperate. Like I reeked of desperation. I would go into interviews like, dude, I'll do whatever you want me to do. Yeah. Like, and I was like, finally, I think when I finally did get through, when I finally broke through it, and it was like, it wasn't just then, it was like that mentality stuck with me afterwards, was going in there not as if I'm really nice to them, they'll give me this job. It was like going in there as, or that they're giving me a test. They're testing me. Like they're trying to like disqualify me or whatever. No, it's like they want somebody to come in there and help them. And you're the person that goes in there and help them. So I had like 3 interviews, like all in a 2-day span. And like the first interview, they basically said I had it. And then so the second interview, I was like, yeah, I'm just, go in there and just shoot the bull with them, talking about, oh yeah, no, I worked on something like that. Oh yeah, no, that's, and that was like, that just, I think it was that confidence going into it that they liked me. It wasn't like, going in there like, yes. And it was funny because I'd interview people like the technical side stuff, and they're just really, really nervous. And it's, once you get into that mentality that you're not winning a talent competition. Basically, you're the one there to solve their problems, and and you just have to convey that to them that you're that guy for them. So Rizwan says, I worked for a contract with a client. Now he wants me to become a full-time remote employee as a CTO, even though I have a full-time job already. Insight. I don't know. I've had that happen a couple times where they say, hey, we got good news. Okay, first of all, it's always funny. Like, I remember once I was working this contract, like it was like a 3-month contract. I was working with another like contractor, and he's the one who brought me into it because we'd worked before at a few other places. He recommended me for it. So we went in there, and he was like really, really good. And I was like kind of flattered that he brought me in. But so we're working on this thing, and they came over and they go, like the owner of the company goes, hey, I got good news. We think we can get you a 12-month contract, coming up. And he said, I don't want a 12-month contract. I said, yeah, I don't want a 12-month contract either. Like, we didn't want that security. Like, it was like, and his whole thing was, he says, I don't want them to be nice to me 11 months from now. I want them to be nice to me all the time. So it was kind of that, and it was, it wasn't like we're renegotiating. It was kind of that, just, it was just being locked in like that. So then there's other times where they've said, we got good news. We want to offer you a permanent position. And you're like, oh, it's like, it's kind of that, it's weird because especially sometimes if it's like a middle manager, like as a middle manager who's been working in the company for years, and he thinks he's like giving you this big gift, and you're like, ooh, yeah, thank you. But it's like, and he can't understand why you don't want it. Like, it's because you just have a different way of thinking about stuff. So, says I worked on but that's good news to get the full time. At least it's very flattering. It's flattering that they want you to be part of their team, and you should always be part of their team anyway, right? So, let's see. Patrick says, "Would look good on a resume." Yeah, actually, yeah. the experience, the 2 apps. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so. Yeah, so let's see, what have we done? We talked about GitHub Co-pilot. We've talked about the my revenue is going, so I need to get off my butt to do it, but I've been saying that almost every live stream for the last few months. Yeah, so it sounds like we've reached the end of the live stream, haven't we? We've got no more questions. I've got a few things I got to do tonight also, though. I've got my somebody coming around. I need to take care of the CTOs. The CTO looks good on a resume. Yes, that's true. Like, if you're ever gonna, sometimes you take on a job or a contract just because it will look good on a resume. You're playing the long game. So if people would ask me if I want to work out like this contractor friend of mine, we talked about would we work at Microsoft, and it was like Microsoft at the time back in the noughties. There was a Microsoft campus in Reading. And they didn't pay very well, but they had but it was nice. It was like they had free food and all this kind of bit like Google, I guess. They had a nice campus, really, really nice offices. And you could say that you worked for Microsoft, but the pay was not quite as high because it didn't have to be. So but it would just look awesome on a CV. Like, to me, the BBC one is something I bring up a lot, even though it was just, I worked there for just a few months. And it was like, when I talk about contracting, I throw that in there because it's sexy and it sounds really good. But yeah, you're right. The CTO would look good on a resume. So anyway, guys, hey, thanks very much for joining the live stream today. I'm gonna call it. I'm calling it. I hope you guys have a really good week ahead. I hope you. We're gonna try to do the live stream again next Monday, and I hope you have a great week. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll talk to you guys again next Monday. See ya.